All right, here's your guys' homework on intro to proofs. And here we have some algebraic proofs. Okay, so number one, it's a given statement because that's the initial statement that they gave us. So this is going to be given. Now, I prefer getting variables on the left-hand side so that we can solve. So I need to subtract both sides by 12x. Now, our statement's going to be negative 8x is equal to 32. Now, my reason for getting to this point, we use the subtraction property. Subtraction property of equality. Next, I would need to do this. So then I would get x is equal to negative 4. And the property that I used was the division property of equality. So that's the complete proof for number one. You guys just pretty much solve for it. Write a statement and the reason. Statement and the reason. Okay? Okay, 28. Or sorry, number two. So we have 28 plus 12x is equal to 8x minus 4. Reason, this is a given statement. Okay, so I like it when I get my variables on the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 8x. So I'm going to get 28 plus 4x is equal to negative 4. Reason, subtraction property of equality. Next, I want my constants, or the terms that don't have a variable, to go on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 28. So I'm going to get 4x is equal to negative 32. Reason, subtraction property of equality. What I did to one side, I did to the other by subtracting both sides by 28. 3. We're dividing both sides by 4 to isolate the x. So we are going to have x is equal to negative 8. Reason, negative 32 divided by 4. So we divided both sides by 4. So that's the division property of equality. Okay. Number 3. So let me just write down the initial. And reason, it's given. It's the initial statement. Okay, I'm going to get my variables on the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 9x. 51x plus 153 is equal to 51. How did I get to this statement? Because we used the subtraction property of equality. Next, I wrote it too closely. Next, so I got my variables on the left-hand side of the equal sign. Now I want my constants to be on the other side. So we're going to get 51x is equal to negative 102. Reason, again, subtraction property of equality. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 51. So I'm going to get x is going to equal to negative 2. And then the reason, division property of equality. Okay, number 4. So I'm going to write down my given statement. Given. Now, solving for x, right? So again, I like to get my variables on the left-hand side. So I'm going to add both sides by 5x. So we're going to get x plus 10 is equal to 18. Reason, we use the addition property of equality. Then we want the constants to go on the right hand side, so I'm going to subtract 10 to both sides. So we get x is equal to 8. Reason, subtraction property of equality. Okay. 5. So I have 1. So this is my given statement. So the first step is we should probably distribute this -3 to both of these. So when we distribute, -3 times x is -3x, and -3 times 2 is -6. So to support this statement, or how we got here, we use the distributive property of equality. Next, now I'm going to get my variables on the left-hand side of the equal sign, so I'm going to add by x to both sides. -2x minus 6 is equal to 16. Reason, addition property of equality. Next, I'm going to get my constants on the right-hand side, so I'm going to add by 6 to both sides. Reason, or sorry, we get -2x equals 22. And the reason is, well, how did we get to the step? Because we used the addition property of equality. And lastly, divide both sides by -2. And we're going to get x is equal to -11. Reason, division property of equality. So as long as you guys provide a reason, right, that is the correct reasoning, then you should be okay. Okay, number 6. Let's write that one down. Okay, so the first reason is given. Now, what we want to do is we want to distribute this -2 to both. So we got -x minus 18 plus 16x is equal to 12. Reason, distributive property of equality. Okay, now, before we move on, notice there's a -x and minus 18 plus 16x. We can, this is the first time you guys are seeing this, we can collect like terms. The -x and 16x can combine. So, -x plus 16x, that is 15x. Keep the 18 still, and that's still equal to 12. Reason, combining like terms. Okay, now we can go ahead and add 18 to both sides to get the constants on the right hand side. So we're going to get 15x is equal to 30. Reason, addition property of equality. And lastly, divide both sides by 15, and x is going to equal to 2. Reason, division property of equality. Okay, number 7. Gonna write down our statement. This is given. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to distribute both of them. So I'm going to distribute this to this. Actually, we should do orders of operations first. So notice, you guys can simplify that, right? So we are going to get, this is still the same, but you guys know x times 16 minus 7 is 9. And the reason for that is, I'll just put that as combining like terms. Okay, now we have this right here, okay? So we have 6x minus 36, because 6 times x is 6x, 6 times negative 6 is 36, and this is 9x, right? So this one is distributive property of equality. Okay, next, I'm gonna get my variables on the left-hand side. So I'm gonna subtract both sides by 9x. So again, as long as you guys are doing it correct, all our steps could be different. But I'm just choosing this way because this is how I go. But you guys can do your own thing as well, as long as you get the same answer in the end. So negative 3x minus 36. What did I do? I did subtraction property of equality. Now I'm going to add by 36 to both sides to get my constants on the right. So we'll have negative 3x is equal to negative 36. Reason, addition property of equality. And lastly, going to divide both sides by negative 3. So it's going to be x is equal to 12. Reason, division property of equality. Now I just want to make sure that everything looks okay. Oh, that was positive 36. So I made an error right there. This should be positive 36. So 36 divided by negative 3, that should be negative 12. Okay. Last one. Write down our statement. That's given. Okay, 2. I'm going to subtract 10 to both sides, so we'll get 1/4 x is equal to negative 8. Reason, subtraction property of equality. Next, this is 1/4 x, right? So it's really x over 4, so we need to get rid of that fraction, the denominator, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by 4, because then these would cancel, right? So we're going to get x is equal to negative 32. Reason, multiplication property of equality. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Again, continue to practice and achieve mastery, okay? Peace.